The UK will structurally be less important to the US now than it was when it was in the EU, for the simple fact that when it was in the EU, the US had a very strong ally at the council table, at all of the decision-making tables, and that made Britain important for America, because obviously what the EU does and doesn't do has great consequence for the United States because of the size of its market and its potential diplomatic heft as and when it can agree on something. And so having Britain not at the table means that the US is going to have to deploy more effort and power in Paris, in Berlin, maybe in Rome, in other European capitals, in Brussels itself. And the UK is just not at that table. It's not at the table. You know, when the US president meets with the European Commission president and the president of the council and the president of the presidency, the UK won't be there. And the discussions about it and what's discussed and what's planned and the foreign policies of Britain will not be at that table. So that's on the negative side of the ledger. On the other side of the ledger, we have to say Britain's role as an intelligence partner with the US, I think, will remain paramount, not least because of the technical capacities the UK has in the cyber and encryption and surveillance and intelligence side. So not just the sort of MI6, MI5, but GCHQ side. And the kind of Five Eyes, which of course, again, is beyond Europe, well, entirely beyond Europe, other than the UK, provides a sort of another avenue. NATO will remain the only transatlantic security structure, and the only structure in which the US is a member of a European focused and headquarter-based institution. And the UK is at the table for that and is one of the key players because of the size of its defense budget. And then, as I said, to the extent the UK becomes a swing player in the G7, G20, and the UN Security Council, the US needs to retain that engagement. And there are deep historical, cultural, linguistic connections. And of course, not being a member of the EU, there'll be times when the US will want to pull the UK over to its side as a way of trying to apply pressure on the EU. And this is what has happened through 2020 on the Huawei debate, where it was really important for the US to try to get the UK over to the US side on Huawei so that then the US could apply pressure to the rest of the EU.